Welcome to Royal Secret. Something has just shaken the royal court of Spain. The glittering halls of Zarzuela Palace have fallen silent. The anticipation of a grand royal event has dissolved into whispers of sorrow and concern. And now, questions ripple through the Spanish public and royal watchers around the world. Why were King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia, two of Europe's most disciplined, duty-bound monarchs, suddenly forced to cancel one of their most anticipated public appearances? And what is the tragic news that has cast a long, heavy shadow over the House of Bourbon? Today, we unravel the full story behind this emotional royal upheaval. From the carefully guarded privacy of the Spanish royal family, to the national ripple effect that follows when its king and queen make such a rare and poignant decision, we take you deep inside the story that's left Spain stunned, and the monarchy more vulnerable than ever. This is not just a cancelled event. It's a sign that something far deeper, more personal, and more painful is unfolding behind palace walls. Stay with us as we uncover the layers, minute by minute, reaction by reaction, of this unfolding royal drama. What led to the royal cancellation? How has the Spanish public responded? What does this mean for Queen Letizia, who is known for pushing through even the most difficult personal trials without showing weakness? On a seemingly ordinary morning in Madrid, Spanish media outlets issued breaking news alerts that would immediately grip the nation. King Felipe and Queen Letizia have cancelled their official engagement scheduled for later this week. No elaborate explanation, no royal statement filled with reassurances. Just one blunt announcement, and silence. The event, which had been planned for months, was expected to see the king and queen attend the opening of a high-profile cultural and diplomatic summit in Madrid, one meant to highlight Spain's global leadership in arts, technology, and international cooperation. Royal watchers, journalists, and political dignitaries had prepared for the glamorous occasion. Speeches were drafted, security was tightened, invitations were printed, and then, everything stopped. For a monarch like Felipe, known for his strict adherence to duty and discipline, such a cancellation was not just unusual. It was unprecedented. Insiders described the atmosphere as somber, with many within the royal household caught off guard. So what exactly was happening behind the scenes? Within hours of the announcement, speculation swirled. Some royal correspondents suggested logistical issues. Others pointed to health concerns. But by noon, credible whispers emerged that a deeply personal loss may be at the heart of this royal silence. Sources close to the palace suggested that the king and queen had received heartbreaking news involving a close family member, possibly someone elderly or a long-standing friend of the monarchy who had passed away. Journalist Inés Ramos, known for her royal coverage in Spain, hinted at the gravity of the situation. "This is not protocol. This is pain," she wrote on social media. "It is rare for the king and queen to miss official duties unless it is a private tragedy." The last time a major royal event was cancelled at such short notice, Spain was grappling with the death of King Felipe's cousin, Beltrán Gómez Aceba, a nobleman deeply connected to the royal household. Could history be repeating itself? What makes this situation even more dramatic is Queen Letizia's reaction, or lack thereof. Letizia is no stranger to pain. Before her marriage to Felipe, she endured the tragic suicide of her sister Erika in 2007. An event that reshaped the Queen's public persona and fueled her commitment to mental health causes. Since then, Letizia has crafted a public image as calm, composed, and unbreakably strong. She shows up, she speaks clearly, she stands tall, even when harshly criticized in Spanish tabloids for everything from fashion choices to her strained relationship with her mother-in-law, Queen Sofia. But this time, Letizia has vanished from public view. No social media updates, no press briefings, no palace photos, not even the briefest appearance at a charity event or diplomatic dinner. It is, in short, an emotional retreat. And it's fueling even more speculation that what happened is deeply personal and emotionally devastating. The Spanish royal family is known for its discretion, especially in times of crisis. So far, no official statement has been released beyond confirmation of the cancellation. Notably, the royal household has refused to comment further on the nature of the private matter, leading royal experts to believe the situation is far more serious than previously assumed. One senior royal aide, speaking anonymously, told a leading European magazine, "This was not an easy decision. Both their majesties were committed to the event. But sometimes, duty must be set aside for grief. This brief but loaded statement hints that the king and queen are dealing with a major emotional blow, one that overrides even their strongest sense of obligation. But in a media-saturated world, silence breeds curiosity. And in Spain, the monarchy is under constant scrutiny, not only for their political neutrality, but for their transparency with the public. The royal couple's decision has sparked mixed reactions across Spain. On one hand, many Spaniards are expressing compassion, rallying behind the royal family with messages of support and heartfelt condolences, even without knowing the exact nature of the loss. Thousands have flooded social media with messages like, "Let them grieve in peace. Royals are human too. We support King Felipe and Queen Letizia in this difficult time." But not all reactions have been sympathetic. Some critics have used the opportunity to question the monarchy's relevance, transparency, and finances. Prominent anti-monarchist figures argue that the public has a right to know the truth, especially if taxpayer funds are involved in royal duties and their cancellation. Spanish television host Maria Rodriguez sparked controversy when she remarked live on air, "If the king and queen want privacy, they should also accept that they are not above accountability. What exactly are they hiding?" Such polarizing comments only heighten the drama. Is this just about grief, or is something even more complicated at play? To fully understand the emotional weight of this moment, we must look back. King Felipe and Queen Letizia have faced enormous pressures since ascending the throne in 2014. Their reign began amid the abdication of King Juan Carlos I, Felipe's father, who was embroiled in financial scandals and public disgrace. Letizia, a former journalist and commoner, was never fully embraced by the old guard of Spanish aristocracy. From the start, her presence in the royal family symbolized modernity, but also division. Behind the glamour, theirs is a story marked by struggle, compromise, and at times, profound personal sorrow. Could this latest event be the emotional tipping point? A source close to Letizia's inner circle recently revealed to Spanish media that the Queen has been under tremendous emotional stress in recent months, especially after a particularly difficult Easter break, where rumors of tension within the royal household began to surface once again. If there's one thing the world has learned, it's that when it comes to the Spanish monarchy, what's not said is often more powerful than what is. While the king and queen remain silent, one young royal is quietly stepping into view: Princess Leonor. The 19-year-old heir to the throne has recently returned to Spain after her military training in Zaragoza, and although she has not been publicly connected to this latest cancellation, her presence, or absence, at palace events is being closely watched. If the cancellation is related to a family member's passing, Leonor's reaction may offer future insight into her readiness to carry the monarchy forward in times of tragedy. Already, comparisons are being made between Leonor and her royal counterparts across Europe: Princess Catharina Amalia of the Netherlands, Princess Elizabeth of Belgium, and Princess Ingrid Alexandra of Norway, all young heirs being shaped by their families' public and private burdens. Is this Leonor's first true lesson in royal resilience? There's a growing feeling, subtle but undeniable, that something is shifting inside the Spanish royal family. Whether it's grief, illness, or a personal family crisis, this cancellation comes at a moment when the monarchy is already under intense public pressure. Calls for reform, demands for transparency, ongoing investigations into King Juan Carlos's finances, and now, a sudden moment of royal absence that leaves even more questions than answers. This may be more than a passing sorrow. It may be the beginning of a longer period of reflection and transformation. The king and queen have long prided themselves on privacy and restraint. But in this hyper-connected age, can any monarchy truly remain silent without facing backlash? As the Spanish royal household remains locked in silence, the public's curiosity only grows louder. With a cancelled appearance and two of Europe's most visible royals retreating from the spotlight, a haunting question continues to echo across Spain. Who, or what, could have struck such a powerful emotional blow to King Felipe and Queen Letizia that they would abandon royal duty? To understand the possible weight of this cancellation, we must revisit recent developments in the royal family's inner circle, and look closely at the people whose lives have been closely entwined with theirs. Because sometimes, the answers aren't found in press statements. They're found in the quiet lives of those who've been by the monarchy's side for decades. Initial reports hinted at the passing of a senior royal confidant, someone older, someone who operated just beyond the public eye but played a crucial role in the royal family's day-to-day life. Theories abound. Was it a longtime palace aide? A childhood tutor? A lifelong friend? Spanish newspaper El Confidencial published an anonymous tip claiming the tragedy was a personal loss connected to Queen Letizia's side of the family, possibly an aging relative who had recently been hospitalized. And here lies an important detail. Letizia's ties to her biological family remain complicated. Her relationship with her father, Jesus Ortiz, is said to be distant, while the memory of her late sister, Erika, still casts a long emotional shadow over her public and private identity. Could the Queen be reliving the trauma of a sudden death in her family? Or was this someone from Felipe's side, a quiet cousin, an elderly relative, or even a beloved figure like the late Infanta Pilar or a royal godparent? What makes this moment so unique is that both Felipe and Letizia stepped away, together. This was not a solo cancellation due to illness or scheduling. This was a united royal retreat, a sign that the emotional impact was felt by both husband and wife. Grief, when it strikes a royal household, takes on a dimension unlike any other. Behind the walls of grand palaces and under the gaze of relentless cameras, royals are expected to endure quietly. With grace, with restraint, with perfectly timed smiles. But history tells us that when grief breaks through that facade, it shakes entire nations. Consider Queen Elizabeth II's reaction to Princess Diana's death. Her initial silence sparked national outrage, forcing Buckingham Palace to reevaluate its entire relationship with public mourning. Or remember King Willem-Alexander of the Netherlands, who wept publicly at the funeral of his brother Prince Friso, moving the Dutch people with his raw humanity. In Spain, such openness is rare. Felipe has been trained in the school of royal stoicism. But insiders now reveal that this latest tragedy may have hit him unusually hard, precisely because it involved someone who had supported him throughout the most turbulent chapters of his reign. A palace official told La Razón, "The king is heartbroken. This was a friend, a guide, a witness to both his youth and his transformation into monarch. It's a profound loss. If this source is to be believed, this isn't just grief. It's an identity crisis. A loss that reminds Felipe he is not only king, but human, husband, son, and friend." During this emotionally charged period, Queen Letizia's role as mother has quietly come to the forefront. With both Princess Leonor and Infanta Sofia now entering critical stages of their development, Leonor at military academy and Sofia preparing for higher education abroad, Letizia is said to be placing renewed focus on the emotional well-being of her daughters. One royal insider shared with Vanitatis, "Letizia has always been fiercely protective of her girls. If this recent event could emotionally destabilize them, she would retreat from public life in a heartbeat." Indeed, Letizia has always projected strength, but her deepest emotions are reserved for her family. When Erika, her younger sister, tragically died in 2007, Letizia disappeared from public engagements for nearly 2 weeks. She returned later, thinner, quieter, but even more determined to protect her private life. Could this be history repeating itself? Royal watchers suspect that the Queen is shielding Leonor and Sofia from both media frenzy and personal sorrow, making the family's withdrawal from public life a maternal decision as much as a royal one. Behind the scenes, Spain's political elite is growing uneasy. While many sympathize with the King and Queen's decision to step back, their absence from the major summit has created diplomatic headaches. Foreign dignitaries had scheduled meetings. International agreements were on the table. And now, Spain's royal couple is suddenly unavailable. In a parliamentary session 2 days after the cancellation, Deputy Alejandro Ruiz of the left-wing Podemos party questioned the move. If the monarchy is a symbol of stability, why is it allowed to vanish in moments of crisis? This should concern all of us. The royal family has long walked a tightrope between tradition and modernity. Now, with their emotional absence impacting state affairs, even loyal monarchists are beginning to quietly ask, how long can silence be maintained? Is it time for the monarchy to adopt a new model, one where personal transparency meets public duty? Royal watchers across Europe are glued to the Spanish saga. In the UK, tabloids like the Daily Express have run headlines speculating about a deep personal blow to Queen Letizia. In Germany, Bild noted the parallels to British royal dramas, asking if Spain was experiencing its own version of a modern royal reckoning. Even in Latin America, where King Felipe and Queen Letizia maintain symbolic influence, media outlets like Caracol Noticias and Clarín have questioned whether this moment marks a shift in how monarchies handle emotion and national responsibility. One Latin American commentator boldly wrote, "Felipe and Letizia are caught between two worlds, the old one that demands silence and grace, and the new one that demands truth and empathy. In this vacuum of information, the world is projecting its own questions, fears, and expectations onto Spain's royal mystery. Perhaps the most pressing question now is, when, and how, will King Felipe and Queen Letizia return to public life? If the palace remains silent, will rumors spiral further? Or will their reappearance be carefully choreographed to convey resilience, unity, and emotional control? Sources suggest the royal couple is expected to resume duties within the next week, but without any direct reference to the cancellation. Instead, it's likely the palace will present their return as business as usual. But can the public be expected to forget so easily? Royal historian Juan Emilio Gomez warns that silence can be dangerous. If the monarchy pretends nothing happened, they risk alienating the very people who sympathized with them. Transparency is no longer optional, it's survival. Letizia's return, especially, will be analyzed down to the last detail. Her fashion, her facial expressions, her choice of words, even her jewelry. In the royal world, every detail carries symbolic weight. This moment, however shrouded in mystery, may come to define the next era of the Spanish monarchy. What we're witnessing is not just the cancellation of an event. It's the cancellation of royal perfection. A pause in the illusion that kings and queens are immune to emotion, to loss, to grief. King Felipe and Queen Letizia have, intentionally or not, reminded Spain and the world that the crown rests on human shoulders, and those shoulders sometimes tremble. For a monarchy still fighting to prove its relevance in modern Europe, this raw moment may ultimately do more to humanize the crown than any speech or ceremony ever could. But it must be handled carefully. Because if the royal family returns to the spotlight without acknowledging the pain they clearly feel, they risk appearing cold, distant, and disconnected. The people have seen the silence. They've felt the absence. Now, they want answers. Thanks for watching.